Remember when your dad couldn't stop beaming at how you'd corrected the teacher in third grade? How your mom would brag to her friends about your vocabulary? The way you asked questions that made adults pause and look at each other like, where did this kid come from? Remember that feeling? Like you had this secret superpower? This thing that made you special? That meant you were destined for something bigger? You were the kid who read the encyclopedia for fun, who got genuinely excited about learning new things, who adults said was wise beyond your years. Teachers would pull you aside and say things like, "You're going to do great things," and "The world needs minds like yours." You felt different, not better exactly, but like you saw things others missed, like you had access to some frequency everyone else was tuned out of. So, why are you sitting here now, scrolling through videos at 1 a.m., wondering where that brilliant future went? Why does that same mind that once felt like your greatest gift now feel like it's working against you? What happened to that kid who was so sure, so clear, so unstoppable? That intelligence is still there, but somewhere along the way, it became a cage instead of wings. And I'm going to show you exactly when and how that happened. And more importantly, how to set it free again. Take a breath with me. You're exactly where you need to be right now. Let's talk about what really happened, because what I'm about to tell you isn't your fault. You couldn't have known. When you were young, every time you got the right answer, every time you solved something quickly, every time you impressed an adult, you got a hit of validation that felt incredible. Your brain learned something simple. Being smart equals being loved. So you got really, really good at being smart. But here's the thing nobody told you. There's a difference between learning to be intelligent and learning to learn. You became addicted to already knowing the answer instead of discovering it. Do you remember the first time you encountered something you couldn't figure out immediately? That panic, that feeling like you were failing at being yourself. That's when the cage started forming. You see, smart kids like you, like us, we never learned how to be beginners. We never learned that not knowing something doesn't threaten who we are. We learned that our worth lived in our ability to have answers. So when life got complicated, when there were no clear right answers, when success required more than just being clever, you froze. Not because you weren't smart enough, but because your relationship with your own intelligence had become toxic. Think about it. How many times have you avoided trying something because you might not be immediately good at it? How many conversations have you dominated with explanations instead of listening? How many decisions have you postponed because you haven't found the optimal solution? This is the intelligence trap. Your superpower became your prison. But here's what I need you to know. Recognizing this pattern means you're already starting to break free. Your 20s hit like a truck, didn't they? Because suddenly, intelligence wasn't enough anymore. You walked into job interviews expecting your GPA to speak for itself, only to watch someone with average grades get hired because they could tell better stories about their weekend adventures. You spent hours crafting the perfect text message, while your friends sent, "Hey, coffee?" and somehow had better relationships. You're not crazy for feeling confused by this. The rules changed, and nobody gave you the new playbook. Let me tell you what happened. All those years, you were playing a single-player game, you, your brain, and the right answer. But life is multiplayer. It's messy, it's emotional. It's about connection, timing, luck, and yes, intelligence. But intelligence as one instrument in an orchestra, not a solo performance. You probably spent your early 20s feeling like everyone else had figured out some secret you missed. How were they so comfortable with uncertainty? How did they make decisions without researching every possible outcome? How did they fail at things and just try again? Meanwhile, you were stuck in your head, analyzing, planning, optimizing. You treated life like a problem to be solved instead of an experience to be lived. And the worst part? You felt stupid for the first time in your life. Not because you weren't smart, but because your type of smart suddenly felt useless. You could explain quantum physics, but couldn't figure out how to ask your crush on a date. You could ace any test, but couldn't handle rejection. You could debate complex ideas, but couldn't comfort a friend who was crying. This isn't failure. This is your intelligence, trying to solve problems it was never designed to solve alone. It's like trying to paint a masterpiece with only one color. The color is beautiful, but the painting needs more. Let's be honest about what this cost you, because acknowledging the loss is part of healing it. How many opportunities did you analyze away? How many times did you say, "I need more information," when what you really meant was, "I am scared of not being perfect"? How many relationships stayed surface level because you were too busy being right to be vulnerable? I see you. I see the jobs you didn't apply for because the requirements weren't an exact match. The creative projects you started and abandoned because they weren't immediately brilliant. The social events you skipped because you couldn't predict how to be charming. You became a curator of your own life instead of living it, always preparing, rarely participating. And then you watched your peers, the ones you tutored in college, the ones you asked to copy your homework. You watched them get promoted, find love, start businesses, seem genuinely happy. And you wondered if you were broken. You're not broken. You were just using a sports car to plow a field. Wrong tool for the job, but the tool itself is magnificent. Here's something beautiful about where you are right now. All that analysis, all that careful thought, all that pattern recognition, you've been building something incredible. You just haven't learned how to use it properly yet. This isn't failure. This is preparation. Everything you've been through, every mistake, every moment of feeling stuck, it's all been training for what comes next. Ready for some good news? You already have everything you need to change this. You don't need to become less intelligent. You need to become more human. First, let's redefine intelligence. Intelligence isn't about having answers. It's about asking better questions. It's not about being right. It's about being curious. It's not about knowing everything. It's about learning anything. Here's your new operating system. I call it the 70% rule. When you have 70% of the information you think you need, act. Not because 70% is perfect, but because the other 30% can only be learned through experience. Your intelligence will help you course correct along the way. Stop researching your life away. Start experimenting with it. Next time you catch yourself in analysis paralysis, ask this question. What would I try if I knew I couldn't fail? Then go try that thing, knowing you probably will fail. And that failure will teach you more than another hour of research ever could. Start saying, "I don't know," more often. Not because you're not smart, but because those 3 words are the beginning of every great discovery. They're an invitation to learn together instead of performing alone. Listen more than you speak. Ask questions more than you give answers. Be fascinated by what you don't understand instead of frustrated by it. Your intelligence is a gift, but it's not your identity. You are not what you know. You are what you do with what you know. You are how you treat people. You are how you handle uncertainty. You are how you love, how you fail, how you get back up. Here's what I want you to remember. This phase you're in, this confusion, this feeling stuck, this sense that your intelligence somehow betrayed you, this is not permanent. This is not your final destination. This is your transformation. You are standing at the bridge between who you were taught to be and who you're becoming. The smart kid who needed to have all the answers is growing into the wise adult who knows the right questions to ask. Your 20s weren't ruined by your intelligence. They were refined by it. Every mistake taught you something. Every moment of feeling lost was actually you finding yourself. Every time you felt like your intelligence wasn't enough, you were learning to be complete. The next chapter of your life is going to be different, not because you'll be less smart, but because you'll be more whole. You'll use your intelligence as one beautiful part of who you are, not the only part that matters. So here's what we're going to do right now. Think of one decision you've been overanalyzing, one thing you've been researching instead of doing, one opportunity you've been preparing for instead of pursuing. In the next 48 hours, take one imperfect action toward it. Not the optimal action, not the guaranteed to succeed action. Just one honest, brave, 70% action. Your intelligence is still your superpower. You're just learning to use it in service of your happiness instead of your fear. The brilliant future that kid was promised, it's still coming. It just looks different than you imagined. Better, actually. More real. More you. Before you go, I want you to do something. In the comments below, tell me about that one decision you've been overanalyzing. What's the thing you've been researching instead of doing? Don't overthink it, just share it. Let's create a space where intelligent people can be honest about being stuck. And when you share that, you're not just helping yourself, you're helping everyone else who reads it realize they're not alone in this. Your vulnerability becomes their permission to be human too. If this video helped you understand something about yourself, hit that subscribe button. Not because I need the numbers, but because you deserve more content that actually gets you. You deserve to be part of a community that sees your intelligence as a gift to be integrated, not a burden to carry alone. You've got this. You've always had this. You just needed to remember that being smart includes being kind to yourself. Take a deep breath. Your real life is about to begin.